welcome you guys to another episode of the Empower Her Talk Show. And as you know, we talked domestic violence last week. This week, we're going to talk about breast cancer. But first and foremost, let me thank AOC out of Lafayette for giving me this opportunity to bring you this great information. I want to thank LUS and Cox Cable and the six surrounding parishes. They constantly take time out to enjoy our show. All right. So tonight we did domestic violence because I said I was going to do several awarenesses for this month. So we did domestic violence last week. So this week we're going to talk breast cancer. And I have a wonderful, young, awesome breast cancer survivor, and she's going to tell us her story. And I'm going to bring her up on the screen, you guys. Hi, Dr. Denise.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine. How's everything going?
It's going.
Yeah, look, it's going. I want to first apologize to you because I have several different platforms in this same thing. I was in the wrong room.
Okay. Because I know I was like, I clicked on it, but there's no one there. So I said, well, maybe she's running behind.
No, I wound up and I had to click over into this room because the other room was for the Can We Be Friends shows.
Oh, okay.
But welcome to the Empower Her Talk Show. And I don't know if you heard my intro, but I was basically saying today we talked domestic violence last week. So this Thursday, getting you to come talk about breast cancer is a wonderful opportunity. And this is a way we can actually get people to get some knowledge about the way breast cancer affects us. So I'm going to basically allow you or let you tell your story. Allow you, where did that come from? To let you tell your story, and I'll probably ask some questions as we go. If you say something I want to ask a question about, okay?
Okay.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Well, a few probably know. My name is Denise Jackson. I am a registered nurse. I have a doctorate degree in nursing and a master's degree in nursing also with an MBA. I live in Houston. Well, I live in the suburbs of Houston, Texas area. I worked at MD Anderson for 17 years now. I work for the government. You know, you're going to have two checks to retire now. So, my focus now, my nursing background is oncology, which means cancer.
Yes.
That's what my certifications are in, and case management. But I'm
Mhm.
also a nurse analyst in informatics. And what that means is an analyst, when data come through, I'm the one that sit down and analyze the data for the doctors or whomever that needs it, psychologists, and tell them, well, yeah, this is, or no, we're not getting enough information to make a call on that.
Mhm.
So that's what I do now. And I'm also heavily in computer programming, writing programs for doctors and nurses to document and keep records on.
Wow. Awesome. Awesome. Awesome.
Yes.
So, okay, now that we've gotten this extensive, oh Lord, um, real heavy. I like that. So now that you've told us, so tell us a little bit how um cancer actually has, now that it's your specialty, was it because of you being a survivor, or was it something you always wanted to do anyway?
Actually, when I finished nursing school in the late 80s, it was late 80s. Many people don't know that the hospitals were going through changes where nurses became the primary caregiver. The
Mm-hmm.
nurse done the blood work, the physical therapy when the hospital organization was doing restructuring and downsizing. So when I finished nursing school, it was two openings at the hospital. One was oncology and the other one was pediatrics. I'm not big into pediatrics. It's not about the patient, it's the parents that you have to deal with in pediatrics. And I'm like, nah. So I went on over to oncology.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people like oncology, when they hear the word cancer, they automatically assume death.
Yes, exactly.
which is not true. Heart disease kill more people than cancer. Most
Cancer.
people don't know that.
Right.
So cancer have, especially today, the survival rate is, a lot better than it was back when I first started. So
Exactly.
that's how I ended up in oncology. And I was in Louisiana at the time, and I was looking for a change. I was working at Here Long with you,
Mm-hmm.
and I came over to visit in Houston. And I
Mm-hmm.
was told my sister, I said, you know what, I'm gonna move to Texas, which I was joking at the time.
At the time.
I was really joking. It was a joke. And she called me one night. She said, have you applied for any jobs here? And I'm like, what are you talking about?
Uh-huh.
She said, well, you said you was gonna move here. I was like, girl, I was just playing. She said, oh, I thought you were serious. So as I would come over frequent to Houston,
Mm-hmm.
Louisiana often refer their patients to MD Anderson.
That's
As
right.
most people know, that's one of the that is the number one cancer institution, not just in Texas or in the United States, in the world.
Right. That's right.
So I said, well, let me see. So one Sunday I was leaving, going back to Louisiana.
Mm-hmm.
And this is when they used to sell the newspapers on the corner. And back then, the Sunday papers looked like the encyclopedia over here.
Mm-hmm.
So I stopped, and the guy was on the corner. I got one. I gave him a dollar, gave because that's what they cost back then, a dollar.
Mm-hmm.
And I got one. So I came
Yeah.
home and I actually threw the paper in the chair.
Mm-hmm.
Really didn't here or there. So one
Mm-hmm.
day I was sitting down and I said, well, let me see what they offering in Texas. So the
Mm-hmm.
pay was a lot better than Louisiana.
Yes.
And
Yes.
MD Anderson was one of the hospitals. And being that I was familiar with oncology, I was like, we always referring people to MD Anderson. And in my mind, I want to see what's so great about them since they, MD Anderson, MD Anderson. So at that point, I applied for a
Mm-hmm.
job on a Tuesday night.
Mm-hmm.
And the next day, about 8 o'clock that night, I got a call. So I was
Mm-hmm.
looking when we had caller ID, which we still do now. But then I
Mm-hmm.
was like 713. I'm like, I don't, and at that time, Houston only had two area codes, 713 and 281. I'm saying, I don't know anyone in the 713 area code. My sister was 281. So I said, well, go
Mm-hmm.
ahead and answer it because you don't know it could be something dealing with her. And the
Mm-hmm.
lady was like, hi, Denise, this is Flo from MD Anderson. I'm like, at 8 o'clock at night? So, I'm like, okay, really? So she said, we saw that you put in applications for a position at MD Anderson.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, well, first of all, ma'am, you calling me at 8 o'clock at night. She
Okay.
said, well, we critique our recruiting according to people lifestyle, and most people are off the clock. So we give you time to get home, take care of your family, and we do a lot of our recruiting in the afternoon, which was
Mm-hmm.
impressive to me at that point. I was like, okay, you 8 o'clock at night as a nurse recruiter. So
Exactly.
yeah, I was like, okay. So we talked. She said, well, can you come in for an interview? I'm saying,
Mm-hmm.
okay, when would you like for me to come in? She said, well, can you come in this week? I said, I just left Houston Sunday. I said, it'll be another 2 weeks
Mm-hmm.
before I could come over because I was doing shift work, off every other weekend. And the way I
Yeah.
had my schedule, I had learned to fix my schedule where I do 2 12s and 2 8s. So if I
Mm-hmm.
work the first part of the week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I will be out Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday,
Yeah.
Tuesday, Wednesday of the next
Again.
week. I will have a long stretch. So I done I say, okay, I'll be over next Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Came over, done the interview. And the craziness is they offered me the job on the spot. And I was like, really? They said, because oncology nurses are hard to find. And the training is so intense because you're giving chemo, you're dealing with radiation, you're dealing with surgical patients, and you already have the training. So it's a lot easier. She said, we don't need to train you to be an oncology nurse. We just need to train you MD Anderson policies and procedures.
Mm-hmm.
I took the job. They actually held the job for 3 months for me because I had to get things together in Louisiana. And I moved to Houston, start working at MD Anderson.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I ended up at MD Anderson, which is, not recruiting, make people think that I'm recruiting for Anderson, but it's a great place to work. The structure is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And when I started, we only had one building, and now they have a multitude of buildings and locations.
That's right.
Houston, they have them in Alabama.
Have them in Chicago.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
Arizona, East Coast, and
Mm-hmm.
Florida has one. So
Mm-hmm.
you know that's how I ended up there, and I done 17 years. The government called me back and put a lot of pressure on me.
Like, you didn't go back this
To their
way.
knee. They really had to twist my arm, and
Mm-hmm.
okay, because when they started dropping the numbers, I was like, okay, okay, you got me.
You got me now. You got me now. Talk that money. Them
Yes,
dollar signs mean a lot. People don't
ex-
realize that,
exactly. So
especially when we talk about the expertise that you have. Yeah, very
right,
much so valuable.
exactly. And so 2014, 2015, I left and went to the government, started working for the government.
Hmm.
So to speed up the process, I do a mammogram every year. I advise any woman, especially African American women, starting at the age of 40, get your mammogram,
Hmm. Okay.
please. So I went in December the 16th,
Hmm.
2016.
Wow.
In my mind, I felt, not that I felt anything in my breast, which I didn't.
Hmm.
It was just in my spirit that something wasn't going to be right that particular day.
Wow.
So I went in that Friday, had my mammogram. That Monday, I got a call.
Hmm.
Miss Jackson, we see something that just doesn't look right on your mammogram. We need you to come in and do a diagnostic mammogram,
Hmm.
which is a little different than the first mammogram that they done.
Hmm.
The diagnostic is more invasive and is more pressing involved in it.
Hmm.
So we done that one. And with Anderson, the good thing about them is they read your mammogram when you get to this stage right then on the spot while you're there.
Uh-huh.
You don't go home and we're gonna call you and call you back. No. They say, put your robe on, go sit in this room. And the doctors are in the room while they are doing the mammogram looking at the film.
Hmm.
They say, we still see something that doesn't look just right. And so they said, we need to do a biopsy.
Hmm.
I said, okay. So that was that Tuesday, Wednesday,
Hmm.
that Thursday, no, that Friday, I had the biopsy.
Hmm.
And this was December the 28th, which was on a Friday. And then
Hmm.
holidays came about, so
Yeah.
wouldn't give results. I didn't sweat it. I was like, this is not the first breast biopsy you done had, so I didn't sweat it. I
Hmm.
wasn't at home soaking and, lushing because I got a spot
Hmm.
they see on my breast. I went on, carried on. So that Tuesday afternoon, because Monday was New Year's, that Tuesday was the first day of the year that they opened.
Hmm.
About 4:30, 5 o'clock, my phone rang. I was
Hmm.
driving and it said MD Anderson.
Hmm.
I still didn't get razzled or frazzled. And Dr. Beavers, who I work with, because like I say, that's my specialty,
Yeah.
and breast is my specialty.
Hmm.
And she say, hey, Denise. I say, hey, Dr. Beavers. She say, is this a good time to talk? I said, yeah, it's a good time. So I said, well, let me just pull over and get off the highway, pull over so we can talk. So she said, well, I got some good news and bad news. She said, which one you want first? I said, well, we could do the bad news first. I said, but no, since you want to talk, I say, I have a question for you. She
Hmm.
said, what is it? I say, was the tumor jagged or was it smooth? And she say, how you know? And then she caught herself. She say, you're you're a breast specialist, so you know the difference
Yeah.
between a smooth tumor and a jagged tumor. And when she said it was jagged, I knew that meant it was positive.
Wow.
I said, okay. So I took a deep breath. I say, at this point, I say, where do we go from here?
Hmm.
So that was a Tuesday. She said Friday, I already have your appointment set up
Mm-hmm.
to come into the clinic so we can proceed with what we're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
So that Friday I got there, they had the medical oncologist, the surge onc, the radiation onc, the nurse practitioner, the RN, and
Mm-hmm.
Dr. B was in the room. And at this time, I freaked out. I had to go. I was like, wait a minute, hold up, hold up, hold up.
These people in here, what's this about?
Exactly. I was like, oh my God. And I just took out the robe and I had to catch myself. I say, now I see how our patients feel when all of us come in here like we the jump our boys.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh wow. So I got myself together and I went back in the room. I said, okay, let's talk about this. So she said, well, the good news is, Denise, we really think we got most of your tumor when we done the biopsy. She said, but you know, we still have to do surgery.
Mm-hmm.
I said, okay. So January the 20th, inauguration day,
Mm-hmm.
I was in the OR. They done the surgery.
Mm-hmm.
I went home that evening.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have any drains or anything. I
Mm-hmm.
was waiting on the call for them to tell me about the margins. Is that's
Mm-hmm.
the process of where they go in and see how much tissue may have been invaded and
Okay.
to get a diagnosis as to what type of breast cancer it was. And
Okay.
what I had was ductal carcinoma in situ. They call it DCIS,
Okay.
which I was an N0, meaning that it was still local. It hadn't moved anywhere. It
Mm-hmm.
was right there. And that could stay there for years before women find out that they have it. Just
Wow.
when I went to Anderson, where they machines, they cut their slices. If people understand about the CT and the mammogram machines, the average facility use a 1 or 5. Anderson is like this much. That's where they go in and cut the seat in between the tissue to see if there's
Mm-hmm.
anything. So that's how they found it, and it was the size of a pencil lead, the lead of a
Oh,
pencil. That's how big the tumor was, which is, think about a pencil, the tip of a pencil lead. That's
and
the
they
size it
found
was.
it. The whole
And
thing
they
is that
found
machine actually found it.
the machine
Wow.
found it, yes.
Wow.
And so I went to surgery, came home that night, healed, went for
Mm-hmm.
my follow up. Dr.
Mm-hmm.
Bedrosian said, she said, I got some bad news, Denise. I was like, what is it? She said, your margins didn't come all the way to a 10, so we got to go back in.
Oh man.
I said,
Wow. So
so
in this process, before you go any further, so one of the questions I wanted to ask was how once you said, okay, I got the bad news. How was you? Did it actually dawn on you, like when you went home and you like, okay, so what am I supposed to do here? I heard you say earlier that you didn't try to worry too much about it,
right,
but what was your emotional state? I mean, not being worried and then being worried at the same time. You know what I'm saying with us, with
right.
women.
You know
So
that
how
you
did you
been
actually feel?
at that time I was, I was like, this is just a hurdle in life that you have to go through.
Hmm.
And I've learned, and anyone who have dealt with cancer, whether it's themselves or their family member, your
Hmm.
attitude is 90% of your treatment. How you
Got,
would 90% of your treatment. So you got a bad attitude or negative attitude about it. A lot of times you don't do well.
got
You don't do well.
you. And that's
So
something I think we need to know that
mhm,
because we don't realize how that affects our
right.
whole healing process when
Because
we're going through something.
negativity is a stressor.
That's right. You're right.
So
100%.
if I can't stress about this, hey, I say I'm in the best place where I can receive treatment. I'm going to the people who write the book rather than the ones who read the book.
That's right. That's
If
right.
you
That's
anyone look at articles that are printed about cancer, you're gonna pretty much 99.9% of the time find a doctor from MD Anderson on there.
hmm.
Pharmaceutical companies live for Anderson to do their research.
Hmm. Yeah.
So I went in the second time the next month.
Hmm.
Okay, came back. She said, Denise, we right there. I said, oh, the third time. I said, ain't nobody cutting on me. I got up and left. At this time, now my attitude getting bad.
Yeah, now you said
So
enough.
yeah, so I stayed off work, then I went back to work. So,
Mhm.
and good bad part, I should say, is the doctors that working on you, you work with them.
Yeah, you work with them, so you don't want them looking. You're looking at
So
too much.
yeah, so I'm coming to work and Dr. Bedrosian looking at me, I'm looking at her, I'm like, because when I was in for my follow-up visit after the second surgery, and she told me
Uh-huh.
that I got my keys and because most of the time I just bring my keys in. She thought
Mhm.
I had gone to the bathroom.
Mhm.
So she
Yeah,
went to go
look.
see some other patient. So she called me. She said, Denise, where you at? I said, I'm backing in my driveway. No. She was like, I said, I left. I said, oh no, nobody else cutting on me. I'm done with this. So, I waited about 3 weeks. I
Mhm.
called, I said, Dr. Bedrosian, what you have on your schedule for Friday? I'm gonna go ahead on and do this surgery. Let me get this out the way. She said, I was about to come to your house. I was like, oh, really? I was about to come to your house. So this is the third one. So after that, when the margins were pretty much clear,
Uh-huh.
but she said, let's do radiation. I'm gonna do 30 fractions of radiation for the
Mhm.
to be safe.
Mhm.
So I started. So you have to wait so many weeks before you can start radiation because you have to heal from the surgery.
Yes, from
So
the
this
surgery.
was late April. So June I started. Was it June? No, late May, I started radiation. And
Mhm.
me, Denise, being Denise, my radiation doctor,
Mhm.
I had already planned a trip the previous year to go to
Mhm.
Jamaica.
Uh-huh.
And it fell during the time of my radiation. I went to
Uh-huh.
Dr. Strada. I said, come here, Dr. Strada. We need to have a talk. He was like, what's going on, Denise? I said, look at here. I said, I paid for this trip to Jamaica last year. So
Uh-huh.
that week that I'm supposed to be doing radiation, we're gonna take that to the end because I'm going to Jamaica. He said, well, who told you you could go to Jamaica doing treatment? I said, Denise told Denise she could go to Jamaica. I said, this is not gonna take me down. I'm gonna
Uh-huh.
continue to live my life. He said, that's what I'm talking about. I said, this he said, if all my patients come in here like this, it would be awesome. So we missed a week and we tacked it on to the end.
Mhm.
I went on to Jamaica, came
Mhm.
back and didn't miss a beat and tacked that week onto the end of, it just extended it another week, which, hey, what difference does it make? I was already there. So
Mhm. Mhm.
that's how that went. So after my radiation, every 6 months I had to go in for a mammogram to make sure that everything was clear. And
Mhm.
that was in 2017, and it's 2005 now. So what? That's 8 years.
8 years. Oh yeah, that's awesome. That
Eight
is so
years,
awesome.
and
And nothing has come back or anything.
I go back November the 4th to make sure this will be the ninth year,
Oh
November
wow.
the 4th. So
Awesome.
going into my ninth year because it started in 2016,
Mhm. Mhm. Wow. And
and
that is so wonderful that,
it is,
like
yes,
you said, we need more survivors.
right, and that's why I encourage women.
Mhm.
Take the time for self-care. You have to take care of yourself because if you don't take care of yourself, how can you take care of someone else?
That's right. That's right. And you're in the hospital constantly, and you're doing all these other things, and you're not prepared for when it's your turn to take care of yourself because you've been taking care of
Right.
everyone.
And the
You know.
mammogram and pap smears, I,
Hmm.
tell women all the time, make sure you make time. It's only one day. If you do it, it's a couple of hours.
Hmm.
It's not painful. It's uncomfortable. Both of them are uncomfortable.
That's right. That's right.
But it's, hey, it
It's
lasts.
necessary.
It's
Hmm.
necessary. 20 minutes and you're finished.
You're done.
Versus, versus having to get that stage 2 or 3 or 4 diagnosed and you're there 2 or 3 times a week.
That's right. That's right. It's amazing because my husband has cancer, and they have a whole different treatment than the women do.
Hmm.
So it's like And then my sister also has cancer. She had pancreatic cancer, I think. And listening to all the different stories in the survival, and like I said, I live here with one. And the MD Anderson, the first MD Anderson we went to was the one in Chicago. That's where they sent us. So they flew us out to Chicago. And then finally we got to the MD Anderson here. They transferred everything to the MD Anderson, I'm saying in Texas. Let me say in Texas. And now we're back into Cabrini now because
Mhm.
they transferred us back to Cabrini. But um, it is a lot for one person to take on, especially when an illness. Um, with the surgeries that you had, you talked about the type of cancer you had. Now,
Mhm.
is can you elaborate more on that type of cancer? Can you say it again and then explain it
Okay.
where you find it at and all the different treatments if it gets to the higher level of the stages and how
Mm.
far does it go?
Well, cancer has 4 stages. The N0 stage, which means it's local. It hasn't
Okay.
moved anywhere.
Mhm.
It's right there.
Mhm.
And the N1, it could be N1. It could be local, but you still may have gone outside the area to
Gotcha.
position nearby.
Mhm.
N2 could be the metastasized to a lymph node.
Mhm.
N3 could be the area it's in, lymph node, and somewhere else.
Mhm.
And when you get to N4, usually N3, I'm sorry, stage 3, I'm trying to fix it where people can understand.
Yes, understand it.
Yes, 3, well, I'm gonna say
Mhm.
stage 3.
Mhm.
It's the moved outside the original site. It's
Okay.
affecting the lymph nodes around in the area, and it
Mhm.
could be on its way to attack a vital organ. N4 is a vital organ involved. Could be the liver, the lungs, the brain, or the
Mhm.
bones.
Mhm.
And most people don't know certain cancers only going to metastasize to certain places.
Mhm.
Like breast cancer will go to your lung, it'll go to your liver, could go to your bone marrow, and it could go to your brain. Like people say, well, oh, it went to her colon. Breast cancer don't go to colon. They call
Mhm.
that a new primary.
Mm.
So you have two forms of cancer at that point.
Cancer in your body.
Yeah, you got
Wow.
colon cancer and you have breast cancer.
Because, like you said, that is not the regular place
Place.
cancer is pertaining to the breast.
Right,
Okay.
right. So you have 4 stages in the stage 1, 2, 3, and 4. And a lot of times you may see stage 2 it'll say N2, then you'll see like 1, 2, 3. That means that tells you where it has gone.
Mhm.
Then you'll see stage 4 and you'll see the Roman numeral 3. When I say 3,
Mhm.
you'll see Roman numeral 3. It means
Mhm.
that it has invaded an organ.
Wow. Wow.
And as
So.
you asked about the type I had what we call ductal carcinoma, which
Mhm.
is a condition where the cancer has formed in the milk ducts, but
Mhm.
it has not spread it anywhere.
Mhm.
It's just
Mhm.
in that tissue right there at that time. And as I said earlier, it could live there for 2 or 3 years before it even move.
Or notice it.
Mm.
Even with, okay, so during that time, so okay, so you're going to go get your mammograms done, you're doing your breast exams, your self breast exam. So there was no way of detecting it then
When
when during the time you were doing your breast exams and doing,
because
you
it was
said
too
it took there
small.
for 3 years,
It was too
huh?
small. It was too
Oh,
small.
it was too
You
small.
couldn't
Okay,
even
the
feel
size
it.
of it.
Yeah, you can't
Okay,
even feel it because it's the size of a pencil lead. So
you
only the machine could pick it up.
pick it up. Gotcha, gotcha.
But
Oh,
mine had just fired off, and they could tell when they go to do that biopsy
mhm.
about how long it has been there. And like they told me, they said, Denise, this just fired off. And I look at the fact that if I had gone a couple of months, had gone and had a mammogram a couple of months earlier, it may have not shown up.
Exactly. That's right. That's right. And you would have probably been able to grow by
It would have
then.
right.
I
It'd
would
have been
say,
the next year before we'd have discovered it.
wow, wow. I just changed my mammograms to every 2 years
Hmm.
because I had been doing them yearly. And because they're saying they didn't find anything, that
Right.
it just go ahead and do it every 2 years.
Hmm.
Um, but they kind of give you more freedom now with the choice, how you want to do it.
Right.
Um, I guess that's a good thing, but then again, I'm wondering if that's a bad thing because you just said with the type of cancer you had, it wouldn't been detected in 2 years.
Right.
It would been. So I don't know if now you're making me say, okay, I need to change this.
And if a woman have, I'm gonna bring this out too, so that women pay attention to this. I have dense breast tissue, which means it looks like, it's dense. You can feel the lumpiness in it.
Okay, yes.
Because I
Okay.
have fibrocystic breast
Okay.
disease. It's lumpy. They call that dense breast. So the new rules now from the FDA and the CDC is to have a ultrasound and the mammogram.
Wow.
Hmm.
So say that again with dense breasts. What'd you say with that?
It's lumpy. You can feel like, some women, you can feel the lumps around in there. Some tissue will feel real soft,
What
but
is
then
that called?
around
It's a name for that. What is that?
fibrocystic breast disease.
Okay.
Mhm. And that's a lot of times that happens. And I can say caffeine consumption because I was a big Coke drinker.
Yeah. Yeah. Matter of fact, my doctor put me on vitamin E.
Yes,
Vitamin E takes down the soreness
right.
in it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I do. I got you. So
Yeah,
that's called
that's
dense
dense
density.
breast. If you have dense
Dense
breast,
breast. Okay.
make
Okay.
sure your doctor do an ultrasound also, because a lot
Oh,
of times mammograms may not pick up because the breast is so dense and they can't see if it's
see.
really the breast tissue or a tumor.
Oh gosh. Now you look, doc. That's not fair. That's not fair. I did not. I had no idea. See, that's never been told
Mhm,
to me, and I'm glad you
mhm.
did
Yeah.
because you just helped me tremendously. Because that's
Mhm.
exactly what I have, and I've been having it for
Mhm.
years. And
Right,
she put me on vitamin E because of that. And
right.
like you said, it has a lot to do with caffeine because I drink a lot of coffee, and so you got to lay off of that. You got to lay off the caffeine.
Yes.
So okay,
Yes, I was a
now
Coke
I'm
drinker
feeling
at
some kind of
that
way now. Feeling some kind of way now.
time.
So next time I do my mammogram, I'm gonna request an ultrasound too. Cause see,
Right.
I'm not gonna put that on myself, but I do have that problem. Exactly
Mhm.
what you're saying.
Right. And if
And
you
that's
do a
another
self breast exam, you can feel it. You can feel the
yeah.
difference. And women
Mhm.
should do a self breast exam because I know some people, that's how they discovered theirs through self breast exam in the shower every month. If for women
Mhm.
who are still having a menstrual cycle, you will want to do it after the cycle.
After it's over with. Yeah.
Because before you puffy and you going through the hormonal changes because of the cycle. And for women who are menopausal, you could do it anytime. But at that time, I once a week I'll be feeling, make sure that I didn't feel anything strange or
Mm-hmm.
out of place.
Mm-hmm.
When you're in the shower, just put your hand behind your head and use the
Mm-hmm.
opposite hand for the right side. Use your left hand, and for the uh, left side, use your right hand.
Wow. Wow. That just helped me out a lot. That really did. So now that you're a survivor,
Hmm.
what do you tell other women who probably have already experienced what you've been through? What would you tell them, or if they just found out that they have this type of cancer?
I would tell them the attitude, always have a upbeat, don't let anyone bring you down. You have to, so I know some people don't want to talk about it because they feel like it's a curse. It's nothing you
Mm-hmm,
done. You
mm-hmm,
blame that on the environment. Our
mm-hmm,
environment is horrible for us.
mm-hmm.
You know,
Exactly. Yeah.
it's nothing you done. And it
That's
could be hereditary. And if you know you have a family history of breast cancer, please go have your mammograms.
yeah. Don't
Please,
ignore it.
you know, talk about it, do your own research. Don't just take other people's word, because my walk is going to be different than your walk. You know, if the doctor tell you something, you write it down. If you feel like, you let them know that you want to record the conversation, you have that right. Because a lot of times when you say the word cancer to people, they mind just black.
That's right.
They don't hear
That's
anything
right.
you telling them.
That's right.
Well, you record it. Or if you have a family member with you that's a good dictator, they dictate down what is being said, and you go home and you do your research.
That's right. You're right. That is so on point. So let
Mhm.
me ask you this: when it came to having a support system, how important it is to have a good support system?
A support system is a must, because, as I tell people, even though this person may have been diagnosed with cancer, but you got to treat the whole family, because everyone is the family that's with them is involved.
That's right. You're right. One
You have
hundred
to make
percent.
sure that they mental health is stable.
Mhm. Mhm. At the end of the day,
Mhm.
because they're going to be the ones to be with you when you're going through those
Right.
shape type of stages of,
Mhm.
okay, shock. Now I got to do this surgery. I got to get through this surgery. You got to have a good tight support system, if
System.
nothing else.
Right.
And that's so important. Um, before I let you go,
Mhm.
um, what else would you like to tell people um, about cancer itself? Even though we know you specialize in breast cancer, what else would you like to leave with the people?
As I said earlier, if you first heard me, cancer is
Mhm.
not a death sentence.
Yes, right. That's right.
The survival rates now they have improved so much because the treatments are so much better. They're not as harsh as they used to be. And
Hmm.
you have, as you know, I can only relate to Anderson because that's where I went, that's
Yeah,
where I worked at. For every cancer there is, they have a department to treat that cancer. They're
that's
not
right.
a generic treat all doctor. If you have pancreatic cancer, you go into the GI, upper GI center. If you have colon cancer, you're going to go to the lower GI. If you have prostate, you're going over there to GU. Breast, you're going to breast. Sarcoma, melanoma, lymphoma. They have
Hmm.
doctors that specialize in just that particular type of cancer. So that's what
Uh-huh.
makes them so much better most of the time, because
Hmm.
that's what their focus is on that. They're
Exactly.
not a treat all. They
Exactly.
specialize in that. And I understand everyone can't afford to go to Anderson, but
Hmm.
what you can do, I know in Louisiana, I think, is it Tulane or Ocean is one of them, has
Yes.
combined with
Tulane.
Anderson
That's right. Ochsner is the other one. You're right. Sure
in New
is. You're
Orleans.
right.
And you can go to those facilities and they will communicate with those doctors at Anderson to
Hmm.
give you the treatment plan.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
and the community doctors, they follow what they say. They really
Hmm.
do. They write
Because
up
they know they're the experts.
right, and you go to that facility and receive your treatment.
Hmm. Yep.
So,
Exactly.
so you have
Exactly.
to be in tune and involved. You can't just lay down, roll down, and just take whatever someone say.
Hmm.
You discover, you research, and you find out. There's nothing wrong with getting a second opinion.
Yep.
Nothing at
That's
all.
right.
Get a
That's
second
right.
opinion.
Yep.
Get a second.
That's right.
Hey, I went to a second opinion outside of Anderson.
Yeah.
They know it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure before I go through all this that this really is what you say
Hmm.
it is. So they got
That's
my
right.
slides and they read it and it came back the same. I say, okay, that's like me when I went to the eye doctor. Doctor say you got to have bifocals. I was like, nah, man, I just say, Denise, you 45 years old. You fortunate enough to get this far. So I went and got a second opinion on the bifocals.
Yeah. Make sure they right. No,
Yeah,
I'm not bipolar.
bifocals. I can see, say you can see, but you can't see.
Yeah, exactly, exactly, exactly. That is so true.
So,
So, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go
go
ahead.
ahead, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, if someone wanted to ask you any type of private question that they wouldn't do on the show, is there any way they could contact you? If you, I mean, on the
Yes.
because I know that not you're not a doctor where you're getting paid
Right.
to do
I'm not
all
an
this.
MD doctor where I can fix all your
Yeah,
problems, but I probably tell your doctor what's going on.
yeah, exactly,
Y'all know the
exactly.
nurses is the ones, we're the ones that tell the doctor
Do
what's
all the work
going
anyway.
on. Yes, I
Y'all
think
do all the work anyway.
exactly. You know, we there with you more than the doctors are. They
That's
come
right.
to us and like, hey, what's going on with Mr. John over here? And we tell them. But if they need to or would like to contact me, they could do so through Messenger. It's
Okay.
Summer M Breeze.
Say that again.
Summer, Summer, M as in
Mhm.
Mary, Breeze on Messenger.
Okay, on
And don't
Messenger.
panic if I don't reply right then, because
Okay.
I am still working.
Yeah,
We
exactly.
got a skeletal crew right now, so it may be a day or two. Because sometimes I don't even look at messages. Sometimes when I get home, I had
Mhm.
to go through a whole lot to get my laptop because I haven't even touched my laptop in months because I'm back on site. So
Yeah.
when I get home, I'm like, "Oh, nothing
You don't want to touch nothing.
electronic, nothing."
And see, that's why when I asked, I said, I want to interview. I said, I know I can act in the summer because we've had this conversation. And I said, maybe I can get her on. And that's why I'd be particular about your time because I know your
Yes,
schedule is where, I only can get to you when, because you look, she is actually a member of our crew
yes,
on my other show. And I can't even get her to come on anymore because I know that now she's back at the office. Her hours are different. So
yes,
we let her get away with it from time to time. But
yes.
we'll
I
go
tell
ahead
them,
and have her because we miss her. She know we miss
I
her.
miss you guys, but 5 o'clock come early.
I know
I have to leave home at 6 to get to work for 7. And we're not gonna even talk about that evening traffic.
traffic, that traffic.
If the Houston Astros or the Rockets playing, a 45-minute to an hour drive turn into 2 hours. I'll be filming by the time I get home.
And you like, all I want to do is lay down and get some rest. That's
That's
it.
it.
So
I
that's
just
why I
want
was
to
very
lay down
particular
and
about
sleep.
setting this up
Yes,
for you. Well,
right.
I thank you so much, Doc, for this
You're
time. Thank
so
you for the
welcome.
information you shared, because you now got me to thinking I might just need to go and have my change that from 2 years to back to 1 year, and
1 year.
then, like you said, add an ultrasound sound on that because I
Right,
didn't even think that, and I'm
right.
glad you told me that. Thank you so much for that.
You are so
Really.
welcome. So,
So you guys, I
ladies,
want to say thank you so much for this time. I'm gonna go ahead and let you go because I know it's getting late. I know you need to get in bed, and I know you have a long day tomorrow.
oh,
So thank
yes.
you so much. And
Thank you, guys.
we'll be talking again. All
Okay.
right.
Yes. Y'all
Okay.
have a great evening, the rest of your
Thank
evening.
you. Bye bye, sweetie.
Bye-bye.
Wow, that was awesome. That was Dr. Jackson. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful young lady. Um, like I said, on our Can We Be Frank show, she's actually one of our crews, and we don't get a chance to hang out with her like we used to because she's working the way they got her back because she was working at home for a long time. So now they got her back in the office, so her hours are different. And like she says, she's in Houston and she works at the VA in Houston. And coming home, she said it's horrendous coming home. Her drives turns into from 1 hour to 2 hours. So by the time she gets home, she's exhausted. So I didn't want to keep her long, but I'm so glad I was able to interview her. And again, we're talking about breast cancer awareness, and I'm going to go ahead. I want to bring up some other stuff. She said was very, very much true that the rate for cancer survival has gone and has increased. And I found the website here. I'm going to talk about that. This is the website. Let me share this with you guys real quick. And this is breastcancerawareness.org is what it's called. I'm sorry, let me say that again. Nationalbreastcancer.org. And as you know, this is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So let's see what this says right here, real quick here.
This year marks 40 years of Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Over the last 4 decades, something incredible happened. The breast cancer death rate in the United States dropped 44%. That progress isn't a coincidence. It happened through increased early detection, through advancements in treatment, through improved access to quality care, and through millions of people helping women now. At National Breast Cancer Foundation, every moment is an opportunity to help, and now is the most powerful moment we have. This October, you can help women get screened, navigate care, feel supported, find hope. Now. Helping women now means taking action today. What will you do with your now?
Wow. Okay. Okay. I'm sorry. Let me get this off of here. There we go. Okay. So that was great. So this is this website, National Breast Cancer Foundation. Yes, 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 yes. The ideal that the percentage, and she mentioned it too, Doc mentioned it too, that the breast cancer rate has gone down, survival rate has gone up. And that's so great. The early detection, because hers was an early detection. So I think that is so on point. Um, so let's talk a little bit about the National Breast Cancer.org. Let's make sure I'm in the right spot. Okay, yes, let's see here. What is breast cancer? Okay, the first one is, what is breast cancer? Um, so it's basically saying, understand what breast cancer is. Breast cancer starts as a malignant or cancerous cells in the breast that can then invade surviving tissues or spread to other areas of the body. Breast cancer facts and stats: 1 in 8 women, in the United States will be diagnosed with breast cancer in her lifetime. Awareness of breast cancer leads to empowered choices. Cancer grows when damaged cells multiply, hormones accelerate the growth of tumors, and lymph and blood vessels carry cancer to other areas of the body. That's why early detection is so important. The risk factors are: knowing the risk factors for breast cancer can help lower the risk of diagnosis. There are genetic, environment, and lifestyle risk factors, right? Causes of breast cancer is the exact cause of breast cancer is unknown, but understanding the risk factors for developing the disease can lead to its early detection. Now, that to me, now the kind of issue I have with cancer in itself, even though we have all this great news, my question, I guess, is, or the thing that I look at, or the things that I'm worried about, is why do we even have cancer? Why is this still a thing? Can I say it that way? Why is this still a thing? Um, why is it that the human body still has to go through the process of cancer being in it? What do we need to do to eliminate cancer at all? Like, I know the environment doesn't help out at all. Um, I know the foods we eat. And it seems like everything we do has some form of retaliation or retaliation to our bodies. Something always happens to our body with the food we eat. So who do we talk to about that? Do we need to talk to corporations? Do we need to talk to the food sources to tell them don't use certain chemicals in the food? Can we find an alternative to this certain thing so that we won't get cancer? I mean, it just seems like to me a lot more can be done when it comes to before the cancer starts. You know what I'm saying? Before there's a possibility that cancer's there, you know. And I think um and let's just break it down and be honest. I know that it's about money. A lot of things are about money, and a lot of companies are not going to let go of the money that they bring in for the food supply and the food sources and the chemicals that they use in the food. I mean, I can take that and I can put that out there, you know. But I do think that there are other things that we could do. I think that and other things can be done to prevent us from having to worry about our body being ravaged by cancer. I'm just going to be honest with you. So it says the breast anatomy. Knowing anatomy of your body can help you make informed decisions, have better dialogue with your doctor, and become aware of anything unusual. Now, I'm so glad, and I will repeat what I just said to her. The ideal that she told me about having dense breasts, I was clueless on that. I didn't know that even existed at all, that could happen. I do know, I do have fibroid cysts. I did understand that, and like I was telling her, my doctor gave me prescribed vitamin E to me because it keeps down those cysts, right? Um, and because of that, um, and because of that, that that helps out with me being able to do that. But the idea that she said that I need to also request an ultrasound also with my mammogram, that also changes everything for me because I never thought to do that. And I never thought of the me having that issue with having dense breasts. So I know now that I'm going to change the whole process of my breast exams, and I have to do them too myself. So make sure you're doing your self breast exam, like she indicated also in the interview, right? So let's talk about genetics. Oh, I'm sorry, breast tumors. There are two types of breast tumors: benign and not. That's the non-cancerous one, and the malignant cancers. Malignant tumors are graded on a 1 to 3 scale based on its severity. Give me 1 second, y'all. Okay. Um, I had to close my door. Um, but yeah, so based on that much, then I know um, that that we have to look at it from that. So it's a 1 to 3 scale based on severity. Okay. So breast cancer genetics. Um, Genes pass hereditary information from generation to generation. Okay. Certain gene mutations can increase breast cancer. Okay. Interesting. Okay. It says here, pass hereditary information from one generation to another generation. Certain gene mutations can increase breast cancer risk. Wow. Wow. Okay, it says genetic testing for breast cancer. Genetic testing through a simple blood or saliva test is recommended for individuals who want to know if they carry a breast cancer gene mutation. And that's one of the other things too. Your doctor will ask you, is it breast cancer in your family? Have you had any family members that have had this breast cancer? Okay, so understand, know your family history, right? BRCA is breast cancer gene. It is a gene. Mutation occurs when the DNA of the gene becomes damaged or mutated. About 0.25% of the population carries a BRCA gene mutation. Other breast cancer genes, in addition to the BRCA genes, other genes that increase the risk of breast cancer include the the PALB2, the CHEK2, the CDH1, the PTN, the STK11, and the TB53, and more. So those are the ones that you can have checked to see if you carry that hereditary cancer gene. What do you do if you've tested positive? Those with the breast cancer gene mutation may consider creating a custom early detection plan, preventive surgery, and more. So there's things that you can definitely do um, to make sure. Um, The early detection, the diagnosis, the stages, understanding breast cancer can be diagnosed through multiple tests, including a mammogram, ultrasound, MRI, and a biopsy. And if you notice, she said she did the mammogram, I think the ultrasound, and the biopsy when they caught it. Regular screenings, including breast self-exams, make sure you're doing those, doing once a month. She said preferably after you had your menstruation, if you still having one, okay? If you've already had yours, you don't do them anymore. It's more of you can do it every month or as often as you want. I mean, you don't have to, because during your time, your cycle, majority of the time, our body is tender all over. We don't like to be touched, prodded, none of that when we're going through that cycle. Detect cancer before signs and symptoms develop. Diagnostic mammogram, excuse me. Diagnostic mammogram is used if signs of breast cancer are present or after suspicious results are found on a screening mammogram. Now, I've had 2 mammograms done because they saw shadow in mine. And again, that probably went back to the density, because that's why the ultrasound is so important. The density in my breast made them have to do another, to do some more x-rays, right? Take another mammogram test. Okay, so now talk about ultrasound. Look, or sonogram. May be used to help determine if a breast lump is a benign cyst or a solid mass that may indicate breast cancer. So that's something you can look into. The biopsy removes the tissue and fluid from the suspicious area in the breast tissue that is then examined to check for the presence of breast cancer. An MRI, breast MRI, uses magnetic energy and radio waves to assess the size and specific location of the abnormal finding in the breast tissue. Okay. Lab tests such as a hormone receptor test and the HER2 new test is called, are used to determine prognosis and treatment options after the breast cancer diagnosis. Waiting for results. Waiting for the results of breast cancer screening or test can be stressful, but there are many ways to cope and help calm your mind and nerves. Yes. Like she said, make sure you're not thinking negative. You're not going to die. Those don't take your time and don't think about those things, especially when you already know they're catching it in the early stages, right? Um, when they find out that you have a lump, um, and you're deciding what you want to do next, the best thing to do is start researching. And then she also said to make sure you do a second opinion. Get a second opinion, okay? Definitely get a second opinion. Once a person is determined to have malignant tumor or the diagnosis of breast cancer, the healthcare team will determine breast cancer staging to communicate how far the disease has progressed. Breast cancer stages: once breast cancer is diagnosed, it will be assigned to a stage based on the size and location of the tumor, whether or not cancer has spread. Stage 0 breast cancer, which she said she was at, is the earliest stage of breast cancer, okay, and it is invasive, excuse me, and has not spread yet. So that's stage 0 of breast cancer in a healthy, treated, and highly treatable. Stage 1 breast cancer, overview. Stage 1 is the earliest stage of invasive breast cancer, where the cancer has begun to spread into the surrounding tissue or lymph node. Right? Stage 2 breast cancer overview. This is where it has grown and spread, but is still contained within the breast tissue or nearby lymph node. So it's still in the breast tissue. It has not moved in the body at all. Stage 3 is locally advanced invasive breast cancer that has spread out of the original area and into the lymph nodes or muscle close to the breast. Okay. And then the last one is stage 4 breast cancer overview. Is advanced metastatic um, breast cancer that has spread from the breast to other areas of the body, such as the bone, lung, liver, or brain. And like she said, those are the areas that the breast kind of navigates to. So if it's in other areas, she just explained that that's a whole nother cancer. If it does not spread with the bones, lungs, liver, or brain, and it's like in your pancreas, she mentioned pancreas, or your um, kidney or whatever. Well, those are a whole nother um, section or another whole diagnosis of cancer. So then you wind up with 2 different cancers instead of just one. Wow. Mm. So let's talk diagnosis. Let's talk the types of cancer, right? Let's see here. Let's talk the diagnose. I'm sorry. Let's talk real quick. And then we'll. There's a free educational guide. So it says this is the cancer that she had is DCIS. It's called ductal carcinoma in situ. This is a non-invasive stage 0 breast cancer that has not spread into the other tissue or lymph node. DCIS is highly treatable. Okay. IDC, which is invasive ductal carcinoma, is invasive breast cancer that begins in the milk ducts and has spread into the surrounding breast tissue or the other areas of the body. The invasive, the ILC, invasive lobular carcinoma, is an invasive breast cancer that began in the milk glands and has spread into the surrounding breast tissue or areas of the body. The triple negative breast cancer is a rare but aggressive type of breast cancer that lacks the receptors commonly found in other types of impacting treatment options. Then we have the IBC, inflammatory breast cancer. It's rare but aggressive and fast-growing type of breast cancer that affects the skin of the breast, often causing a distinct rash. MBC, metastatic breast cancer, is stage 4 cancer that has spread from the breast into other areas of the body, typically the bones, lungs, liver, and brain. And then you have the lobular, carcinoma in situ is not breast cancer. It is a risk factor for developing breast cancer. It is a condition where abnormal cells are found in the breast lobule. Other types of breast cancer include medullary carcinoma, tubular carcinoma, Paget disease of the breast, and don't even try to, angiosarcoma, and more. Then you have male breast cancer. While rare, men can also develop breast cancer. Male breast cancer is usually detected as a hard lump underneath the nipple or the aurora. See, I can't even say it. Breast cancer during pregnancy. Pregnancy does not cause breast cancer, but treatment options may be different for women who are diagnosed during pregnancy. So we're going to stop right there. I think we have shared a lot of information with you guys today. And again, I want to thank my guest, Dr. Denise Jackson, for sharing with us her experience with cancer and being able to have it treated and the information she shared. Again, she said you can catch her on Messenger, on Facebook. Her name is Summer Breeze, SUMMRBREEZE. Okay. So I am going to go ahead and let you guys go. Thank you for hanging out with me here on the Empower Her Show. You guys will see you next week. All right. Bye-bye.